Seattle has perhaps the most innovative and far-reaching public arts program in the nation, which helps nourish artists like Peter Millett, Sherry Markovitz, and Norie Sato, and more importantly, allows them to experiment. Doug McConnell spent this week looking over their shoulders.
These are paintings by Peter Millett. These are pieces by Sherry Markovitz. And this is a form of experimental video art by Norie Sato. This is a story with a bright beginning about 3 local artists on the threshold of national recognition and about the unusual strength of the visual arts generally in Seattle. But it's also a story with a cloudy and uncertain conclusion as artists face tough economic times and as public funding for the arts diminishes. But first, the bright side. Many talented visual artists from throughout the United States settled in Seattle during the past decade. Millett, Markovitz, and Sato were among them. They came from the Midwest in the early 70s and found Seattle to be a good place to work, to communicate with other artists, and to fashion new dimensions of American art. We asked Sherry Markovitz why she committed herself to being a full-time artist in Seattle.
Tremendous pleasure. I get tremendous pleasure out of what I do. I like Seattle in particular because it really encourages a kind of interior exploration.
There's a good community here of people, you know, a lot of good dialogue going on between artists, and it's getting better and better, you know, all the time. More artists are coming here, and you know, more work is being done, more people are looking at it. Sources here for people to draw upon are different than, say, the East Coast. And I think it makes for a different kind of work in some ways, but I think that's only natural. Like French food is, you know, tastes French. It's, the ingredients make it that way.
The skills and reputations of Seattle's visual artists have flourished. Now, Seattle gallery owner Linda Farris has brought Millett, Markovitz, and Sato together to produce a limited edition of 40 colored lithographs for sale throughout the United States. The lithographs, created in collaboration with master printer and artist Dwight Coburn, also from Seattle, will be exhibited by invitation at the Chicago Art Fair this year. We asked Ms. Farris if she felt Seattle artists were creating national caliber work.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. And Norie has recently been in a museum show at the Guggenheim Museum. All of these artists are creating work which, if seen by a larger audience, would be judged to be some of the best work created in the country today. And all they need is that exposure.
With projects like the production and extensive marketing of the lithographs, and with the growing recognition of their talents, there's hope that local artists can continue to live in Seattle, receive the national exposure they want and need, and advance their work. The visual arts in Seattle have come a long way in a short time, but there's a dark lining to the silver cloud, and this is where our story takes an uncertain turn. It's no news that the economy is suffering and that public funding for the arts is being cut. The city of Seattle has reduced its commitment, but only by roughly the same percentage it trimmed other municipal services. State and federal cuts are running deeper, and that spells trouble for artists. In a middle-class democracy such as ours, the arts depend on a strong relationship between public and private support. It's never easy to be a full-time artist, even in the best of times, and particularly when you're experimenting with new forms of expression, like video art, for example. We asked Norie Sato what she thinks about the rollback of government support for the arts and what she expects the consequences will be of the spending reductions.
Well, it's certainly not enough now, and it never has been enough, and now with the budget cutbacks, it's getting worse. I think that the support is being cut back in favor of larger, more established institutions, which really cuts out support for contemporary artists, which I think is a real danger. And it remains to be seen, really, what kind of level of support there will be. But contemporary artists really have a hard time, and they're going to have a harder time.
Although theirs are often labors of love, artists like Norie Sato do in fact have jobs. They're self-employed and don't look for handouts. At a very basic level, they go to work, put in long hours, and try to sell their products to private and public buyers. The public market for them grew in the 70s, and the arts experienced a renaissance. If the public market closes, it'll hurt artists, especially young ones who are just now breaking through. They're not yet established and may have a tough time staying in business.
One of the handicaps, I think, of contemporary art and of a lot of the unknown arts is that people just don't know about them. They don't know that they should be looking for them. They don't know that they should be asking for them. They don't know where to go to see it. And part of it has to do with a certain lack of coverage in the media, I think, for visual arts as a whole.
What is the nature of your vision, then? What would your recommendation be?
Take a chance, take more risks with, what you do in support for the arts. I think that the contemporary art that happens in the city is worth taking risks for. And when you're working with contemporary work, it's all a risk. But it's an important risk. It's sort of like education in a way. You put your money into the future.
So far, Millett, Markovitz, and Sato are working, and their immediate prospects seem good. They represent a vital arts community in Seattle, which is finding a national audience. They've been here for 10 years, and may be here for 10 more, doing what matters most to them, working. But work is secure for no one in these hard times. And the public, with its diminishing supply of cash, might not want to take the risks Norie Sato promotes. It might consider arts to be dispensable for now, until things get better. But some people argue that art is essential to our social well-being, that if we dispense with it in the short term, we severely damage our culture and our community in the long run. It's a tough public debate. To some extent, the futures of individual artists and Seattle's cultural condition hang in the balance.
It begins to sound like a bad recording, but budget cuts may curtail Seattle's ability to assist these artists and their peers.